What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the C2C podcast. This is officially 2026. I'm Andrew Costa with the first episode of this year. And if you've been in business long enough, like I have, then you'll know that the months of January, February, and March all feel very different in the world of health and fitness. So in this episode, I want to walk you through what these months are really revealing and what you should be paying attention to as a business owner right now. This applies to you whether you're a physiotherapist, you could be a chiropractor, maybe you're in the naturopathy field, maybe you're a dietitian, or even someone like running a gym or running a private studio. All of these are relevant to you because we are marketing and promoting to the same people, and all health promotions operate the same way. Now, in this episode, I'm not going to give you guys a to-do list. What I want to do is help you read what's already happening inside of your business so you can stop reacting and start making better decisions as you head into Q2. Before I go into this, though, I want to share with you guys where my recommendations are coming from, because I have debated this at length with people in other industries. A lot of people outside of our industries, construction, trades, they tend to be very transactional in the way that they market. They don't really have to have a lot of trust that's built up. What you care is that someone is on time, on budget, they do good work, you've maybe been referred by somebody else, and that's pretty much it. So the way that they market their services tends to be a little different. And I've had a lot of conversations with these professionals because when they're speaking to me about the clients that they work with, they're very surprised with the length of marketing that we do. And they're also very surprised with the heavy push that is based around January, February, and March. And those are very, very big months for this industry, pretty much because of the way that this industry has been preconditioned. Unlike trades where you are calling someone solely when you need and you're facing people with immediate urgency, most of the time people on their health and fitness journey may not necessarily have this really, really urgent thing, but they have this chronic issue or a challenge that builds over time. And you have people at different stages who have different levels of trust with their practitioner. Maybe you're seeing someone for the first time. Maybe it's the 15th time you've seen an ad from them. Maybe you haven't seen ads at all, but you've been watching them organically on social media. Bottom line is, in our industry of health, there has to be a lot of work done up front to build trust, because when someone is working with you, they're hoping that you are the last professional that they have to work with. Unlike calling a plumber or calling an electrician, which we've also been preconditioned for, they're not going to say, well, if this guy doesn't work, I'm just not going to pay him and go somewhere else. For us, it's like if I'm paying and I'm going to spend 3 months or 6 months with this professional, I want to make sure that they are going to help me, that I'm going to like the process, and ultimately that I'm going to see results. One thing I will say is there tends to be a pattern among the health industry, and it's one that I've seen reinforced for a really long time. The trend actually started around 2018, and 2018 was when it was the peak of health and fitness advertising on Facebook. This was the time that physios, chiros, and gyms, naturopaths too, a little bit, had a really great opportunity to market and promote themselves and get hundreds of leads for basically peanuts. And that's because the market wasn't saturated at that point. People weren't ad fatigued, so you had a really high response rate. And those same people were actually open to the process of health programs because this style of marketing was exciting and new. And the long-time phrase is basically, if you're first, it's best, and that's because it's exciting. So in this peak part of the marketing, it was something very exciting, very fresh, very new. And if you're thinking back, like maybe you were in that marketing golden area when competition wasn't as high and you were getting a lot of high quality leads, or like me, maybe you were at the tail end of it with your practice, basically trying to get consistent, higher quality clientele, but you're being forced to sift through the leads that were left. All I know is that way of marketing doesn't matter anymore. That way of marketing and promoting, as well as the types of programs and services that were run at that time for people on the health journey, it has forever influenced the way that people sign up and start their health journey for the first quarter of the year. People during that time were conditioned to sign up using scarcity and urgency. They were encouraged to use up or start using their benefits for the new year, and they were pushed into trial programs. They were recommended introductory offers and smaller challenges to help get their New Year's resolution kicked off right. And because of the way those promotions were driven, it taught people that the new year and new season was the really important pivotal moment to start changing their life. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because it at least got people started. What it means for us in your business, though, is that the majority of marketing offers and promotions now go to the beginning of the year to try and capture the same client base. That's really tough, especially now because it makes creating content and social media harder. And it also makes it very difficult because technically you're all marketing and speaking to the same people. That's going to make marketing more expensive. It's going to make marketing more time consuming because you are all bidding on the same leads and you all have similar funnel sequences. It's application to discovery call. It's book a free trial with us. It's come walk in and then we'll set you up on a free session. You're all competing the same way for the same people using the same language. Because of that, it also makes the first quarter of the year a large do or die period for your health business. If you are going to be one of the health pros who markets well and capitalizes on the new year, then your business is going to be set for clients and your lead flow will pretty much be steady all the way through. If you miss this window, however, you're going to find yourself constantly searching for leads, trying to replace the people who finish up with you. Pretty much, you're going to be forced to have a reactive way of growing for the rest of the year. That is why the first quarter of the year is so important because we have to capitalize on the opportunity that the world of marketing naturally created for us in the past. People during this time of year, they're already looking. They're already aware, and most of the time, they're already in a state of readiness to go and do something about their health. Now, with the clients we're working with inside of our Coach to Coach program, or even the clients that are inside of the Overflow upgrade, that's not really a problem because we have had the nurture systems, the marketing plan, the 90-day social media calendar, the sales flow. We've already had that in place before December 20th. So at this point in time, their teams are already prepped on what offers are running. Marketing is already being pushed out to their leads and their client list. And the content for these offers is already framed up for the next 2 to 3 new offers that they're pushing out for the new year. For them, January is relatively stress-free because the only focus is really just sticking to the plan. The crazy part that I see, though, is the business owners treating the first quarter as an afterthought. They're being reactive to it. And I'll tell you why it's an afterthought. It gets really easy to see the natural momentum of self-led people in January who show up at your door naturally. And when you see that, you think that the trend is going to follow through the whole rest of the quarter. People are going to keep knocking on your door on their own. And I'm here to tell you that's not going to be the case. Let me share with you what typically happens inside of your business this time of year. So come the first 2 weeks of January, you're going to end up looking at your calendar and your entire schedule is going to be filled up. Phone's going to be ringing steady. You might have a couple of new signups per day of people who are deciding on their own that they're going to start with you. On top of that, you've got older leads who maybe you've met before who are now saying yes to starting because maybe it didn't work with them around October, November, December time. Plus, you're also going to have a flood of existing clients or older clients that are coming back from holiday season who want to recommit to the process or maybe start up on a new program. Don't get me wrong, all of this is great. This is really good because it means your brand's been consistent and you've been professional and you've been spending a lot of time making sure that your existing client base gets really great results. What's important to understand, though, is that this isn't due to new systems. It's not due to a new program or a new structure. This is you and your business riding carryover energy from the past year. And when I've done business audits with our clients to look at where that January spike is coming from, all of the leads, all of the re-signs line up with October to December decisions and marketing initiatives. It's always something from Black Friday, always something from a Thanksgiving push, maybe a holiday promotion, a seasonal nurture sequence, or even a program that kept them connected to the community or plugged into a level of accountability going through the holidays. So to me, the month of January doesn't actually test your business. All it's doing is borrowing momentum from December decisions that you make. We tend to not see it that way, though. So you as a business owner may see all of these signups and restarts, and you get super hopeful thinking, well, holy crap, maybe my brand is finally recognized. I don't have to market anymore. And that's when I see business owners delay in making these changes to their teams, or maybe they close their Google Drives on their systems and they're like, I don't want to look at new offers or opportunities. They're saying to themselves, hey, I want to go and I want to check this out in February. The month of January convinces a lot of people that nothing really needs to change. But guess what? Then February shows up. When February shows up, this is where inside your business you start to see the systems that are breaking. First, you get admin pile up. This is where insurance resets. You've got client notes you have to fill out. There's emails you're behind on. People start rescheduling. And with that, you're going to have a lot of decision overload. Why is my system not working? Why are my leads falling behind? Why am I not getting the nurture sequences out on time? Because as you start delivering to those clients, you recognize a lot of your back-end systems from the previous year still have a lot of the glitches and kinks that you're still working through because you're being very reactive. At that time, that's when your emotional fatigue is going to hit it. You're so focused on delivering to your clients and making sure that they get a really good quality experience that it's really hard for you to make these decisions on what needs to change inside of your process. So with February, team members start coming to you and they start saying, well, what are we promoting this month? And you go, I don't really know because I'm just trying to deliver to these clients here. You have admins that start saying, oh, we need to start looking at your bookkeeping. We need to start looking at accounting. We need to start looking at nurture sequences. We've run out of emails that were going out. And this is where now you're starting to create things on the fly, putting you in a position of reaction all over again. So for me, February isn't harder because work increased. To me, February is harder because the support didn't. You don't have the support from the back end. You don't have support from your team. Your teams feel stretched because they're taking on more. Owners have to step in more because when your team can't take on anymore, you find yourself working back inside of the business. And because of that, you stop thinking strategically. Everything becomes reactive because you're trying to work on the fire that's in front of you. Most business owners don't burn out in January. They quietly erode in February. But guess what? That's not where this stops. Remember, we're still the first 2 months in the quarter. February disappears. Now you're going to find yourself March 1st. In March is where now it starts to trigger the Q2 planning pressure. This is where you haven't put out an offer, you haven't marketed a new plan, leads start falling off, and you start thinking to yourself, holy crap, we need to do something. This is where now you're scrambling to create new marketing ideas. How do we start getting more people into the door with the limited time that I have? This is where now you start examining your new offers. Do we push something old that we have, or do we create a new program and a new offer to get people excited to come back into the business? Because of this, on top of all the admin and back end work you've stepped in to do, this means you're going to have to put in more hours. This is where you're going to show up every single day. You're going to leave your facility at 8 or 9 p.m. or your location, and you're always working on the business. Because you're trying to work on these new initiatives and you need time to work on these new initiatives, there's still the largest challenge, which is how do I deal with the upfront flow where my leads are dropping off and less people are signing up? This is where now in the back of your mind, you start thinking about discounts or pushes. How can I offer something really quick so someone can say yes today so I can continue to focus on working on that new plan? March is when people realize the year is moving, but they're still inside the same structure. Now, in this process of March, there's really two paths that people take. The first is the reactive path. They're so busy, they just say to themselves, I'm going to take it all on. More sessions, more effort, more pressure, more chaos, because instead of delegating or instead of taking the time to actually stop and think through the process, you say, I just have to roll with the punches and I'm going to market along the way. This is where everything starts to feel really clunky in your business. The team doesn't really know what you're marketing. Your coaches or your other practitioners on your team are kind of concerned with the direction that the business is headed. Your admin somehow doesn't really know what to put inside the emails, and everything that was flowing in terms of nurture, you're getting more questions on what do I start telling my clients? How do I start putting myself back out there? All of that is due to the fact that there's this pressure and you have to start moving fast and they can't move the same speed. The second path is the aware path. This is where you as a practitioner realize what the issue is. That the issue is never demand. It's never, how do I get my program out there and serve it? The issue is always design, capacity, and leverage. When it comes to design, the way I've designed my business and the system set up is I can't sustain my model in the business as it continues to grow. When it comes to capacity, you're hard capped. You've designed a business that's hard capped you on one-on-one time, or it's limited to a physical space or a location where regardless of how many people you take on, you're still going to have a hard number that your team starts to fall apart on. And it's leverage. This is where you say to yourself, I've been so reactive in marketing and promoting that I don't have anything to leverage now, which means I need to start working on it. March is a big indicator when effort stops working and when you need to start relying on your marketing, your messaging, and your method of attracting people at scale. So to prevent yourself from being one of those business owners who gets caught in this Q1 mess, this is what I recommend you should start looking at for the Q1 quarter. That's right. We're finally at the part where I tell you what you should be looking at month by month. So let's start with January. When it comes to January, you want to be looking at momentum versus your structure. So what I recommend is first, you have to start looking at where did these January signups actually come from? When we're taking a look at that, we're looking at the momentum of past marketing initiatives because that dictates what our future lead flow is going to be. If I look at something I promoted on Black Friday and I got 80 to 90 leads, or if I look at when benefits usage came up end of November and I got 65 or 80 people to recommit in that moment, I need to start looking at what was the messaging, what was the process, what was the urgency there. And is this where these people came from in January? Or is this a new form of marketing and initiative that I've already taken? This allows you to really double down on what's working or pivot from what's not working. And ultimately, that leads to the next question of what decisions were made between October and December that created this. Because believe it or not, everyone that comes in January didn't come because they saw you in January. 90% of the time, it's because of the things you did in the past. The marketing, the nurture sequences, the emails you sent out, the opt-ins, maybe past leads that you've already spoken to that are now actually having some initiative for themselves to commit. You have to look at what created this. The next question you got to start asking yourself is if I stop showing up for 2 weeks, what would still run? This allows you to be proactive about a lot of the things that are going to break when you hit fullness and when it comes to January. If you pull yourself completely out of your business, what's going to break in terms of admin? What's going to slow in terms of sales? What's going to stop in terms of lead flow? Are your clients going to be able to get the same delivery? And when it comes to answering that question, what that answers is where your bottleneck is. January is about figuring out how can I continue the momentum? How do I double down on what's working? And how do I predict my bottleneck? What is going to be the thing that slows me down? Ultimately, at the end of those 3 questions, you're going to get the answer of, is this demand sustainable or is it borrowed? Because January tells you if people want what you offer. It does not tell you if your business is built to support it. Going into February is about looking at support versus looking at your business load. What I mean by that is we are trying to see, is my back end, my systems, and my team all set up properly so if I load my business up, it's not going to break. By admin, does everyone know the expectations? Are the emails automated? The reminders are set? And I could take on another 50 clients this week. If it is, amazing. When it comes to the team, does your team know what you're marketing? Have they been trained on the initiatives? Do they have all of their clients set up? So that way, when you start loading them up with more people, they don't fall apart and look to you with a big puzzled question of like, holy crap, what do I do now? When it also comes to support, it's have you designed all of the campaigns so that way they're supporting your offers that are coming out? Is the marketing in line with your new ideal client avatar? Are all of the leads actually the right fit for your program? So when you take them on or when they enter your world, whichever type of practitioner you are, these are going to be people that are actually really easy to work with, not people that end up putting more effort in for you to work with them. Ultimately, that's going to affect your ability to accept client load. Whether you take on 50 clients a month or 150 clients a month, your ability to support those people should stay the same. I should be able to hand you 85 leads this week, or as a great example, I handed 52 leads with one of our recent clients inside of C2C, and at 52 leads, they closed 38 people. That's really great. I know that if I hand them 104 leads, they're going to still be able to close around that same percentage because the systems, tools, and the processes have been put in to be able to actually support that growth. That means that their marketing can continue without their systems breaking down. So here's what you got to look at. First question is you got to look at in February, what am I stepping in more than I was in January? So is there something that now you've had to take on over and over again where in January you didn't? Are you stepping more in on sales? Are you stepping in more on lead follow-up because your team's not doing it as efficiently? Are you stepping more in on the client delivery, which is what happens for most of you guys, where you're going in because either you don't have the team members to serve all these clients, or the team maybe is not quite up to speed and you have to help them out? This is where you're going to see again the potential breakdown of your systems. January, we discover the bottleneck so we can address it. February, we're looking at where the potential breakdown is. Second question you're going to be looking at in February is what tasks only exist because there's no system. When you take a look at your calendar or you're looking at all the things that your team is focusing on, is there something that just appeared which never existed before? People are asking you questions which you don't have a process for. People are coming across challenges that an SOP doesn't exist for. People are coming across issues inside of the system that only comes with volume, and maybe you've never dealt with that level of volume. It's important for us to look at the tasks that exist or that have been created during February, because now we get to see where is our future bottleneck. We're dealing with the existing one, but we're going to see a future one that comes up because bottlenecks always occur. Usually, the bottleneck at the beginning is one-on-one time. You're trading one-on-one time, and then your one-on-one time gets filled, and you start having the inability to do sales while also serving these people. In the future, your one-on-one time is going to be your team's ability to onboard people. How many people can I sign up versus how many people can I onboard? So if you've got 2 employees and each of them take 35 minutes with a person, or let's say an hour with a person, then that's going to be 60 hours between 2 people that they're going to onboard 30 clients. You might be able to sign up 50, but maybe they can only onboard a total of 30 or a total of 40 in a week. This is where you have to look at where is the future bottleneck going to come up. And then this is the big question when it comes to the bottleneck. Does everything bottleneck back to me? Remember, in February, most people find that they are stepping in, working inside of their business. This is where you, as the professional, have the ability to look and say, am I the bottleneck? Do people come to me with their questions? Do people come to me with their client challenges? Is everything coming through me? Sales goes through me. Lead nurture goes through me. Marketing goes through me. I have to be the okay of everything before it goes out. If so, you have to start looking at how do I set up these systems so I am not the future bottleneck. Bottom line is the question February answers is what breaks when things get busy. February shows you the cost of success when support doesn't scale with. Now, the final month, we got to take a look at March. March is about looking at the effort versus the lever. So by effort, it is what have we done in the past 2 months to create lead momentum and lead flow and consistent client onboarding. Because you're going to ride this wave, the wave of marketing, the wave of lead flow, the wave of visibility. You're going to ride that wave through the rest of 2026. I promise you, if you do not have a wave generated by the end of March, you are going to struggle to get consistent leads into your business. And that's going to be the thing you're hyper focused on. If you don't already have leads coming in by March, your question is going to be, where do I get clients? Versus the people who are inside of C2C, for example, who go to March and they're not, where do I get clients? They're like, I have clients coming in. How do I set up more systems and more teams? So we look at the effort versus the leverage. The leverage is physical leverage, time leverage, income leverage. Where am I spending the money? Where am I leveraged financially? Where am I spending the time? Where do I need to take the time back? So here's what you got to look at. The first one is you've got to look at what you're trying to fix structural problems with. Are there structural problems inside of your business that have more effort? One of the biggest ones is sales. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to teach someone how to do sales. In my personal opinion, sales should be one of the last things you offset because no one's ever going to really 100% sell like you. I still do the sales for my business. And the reason why is because my close rate's higher. I can know that I can repeat the process more frequently. And even when I teach sales to other team members and stuff with the clients inside of C2C, they never have the same close rates as the business owner. And they shouldn't, because you know the problems at a very deep level. So with a structural problem like sales, there's so much that has to be done. Just as an example, you got to do pre-qualification. You got to teach someone how to follow up with leads properly. You have to teach someone the actual ability to sell. Then you have to go through someone's ability to close, because selling and closing is a very different skill. And then, of course, you have to go through the onboard process to make sure that the client stays. All of that is a huge moving machine that can have a lot of structural problems. When you're looking at that, this is where you have to go, holy cow, am I doing it with more effort? Because more effort means more time, and that means you're going to be in the business more. So this is where you have to start saying to yourself, am I adding hours? Am I adding sessions? Or am I adding pressure instead of changing delivery? Remember, it's not about adding more time into your business. If you're filled with one-on-one sessions, you can't add more one-on-one sessions. You're just going to be filled again. If you put in 15 sales conversations, blocks for 15 times, and the times fill up all 15, you don't just add another 15. You start saying to yourself, how can I shorten the sales conversations or streamline the process more? Ultimately, this is going into, how do I change my delivery? Does one-on-one become group programs? Do you start to offer online programs? Do you have hybrid delivery? Can you offer a self-paced program? Can you actually skip the consultation and do the end sales? Ultimately, you've got to ask yourself the question with this delivery, if nothing changes, can this pace last until June? If you were to do the same thing that you did all the way from January to March, can you last an additional quarter? Most people can't. The momentum is too much. They become overwhelmed with the amount of leads. They don't have really good sales structure. Their system of working one-on-one with people is very, very stressful. And so they burn out. And this is where you might have a wave that you're riding in March, but you can't sustain it because you haven't thought, how do I do this? How do I actually ride the wave? There's a reason why, and I love this analogy, my mentor shared it with me. There's a reason why surfers practice on dry land and then they go practice on the wave, but then they do different styles of surfing because everyone operates and can sustain a different style of surfing a different way. Dry land teaches you how to position yourself without the friction or the effort behind you. Because how you react to the friction and effort is really going to be different than how you're actually practicing in your stance. And then you've got to get on the wave. Then when you get on the wave, you start saying to yourself, holy cow, I'm using muscles I didn't feel when I was on dry land. How do I train those so I can get on the wave and stay on the wave longer? Staying on the wave means balance. Staying on the wave means strength and conditioning, it's endurance, and it's strategy. You need all of these things in order to be able to last until June. So the question that March answers is this: is effort still your growth strategy? Because maybe more effort isn't going to equal more success for you. March is when effort stops working and the design of your business starts to matter. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this episode, it's this: Q1 is something that you have to be listening to. January is going to show you demand. February shows you where support is missing. And March shows you whether effort is still your growth strategy or not. If you keep getting the same signals year after year, that's not bad luck. It's not, oh, it's just, growing pains. That's actually information for you. And the business owners who grow with less stress, with more margin for income, who have more freedom, these aren't the ones who work harder in Q2. They're actually the ones who actually respond to what's telling them in Q1. Now, if you're listening to this and you're realizing, like, look, I've been riding momentum, I've been carrying too much, I've been relying on effort more than I'd like, this is exactly the kind of work we do inside of Coach to Coach. The C2C program is where I work with business owners one-on-one to help them read their numbers, clean up their systems, fix their marketing and sales flow, and build predictable recurring revenue without burning themselves out. C2C program is not a course. It is hands-on support where you and I actually make decisions together, and then we implement them with your business and with your team. And if that feels like the next step for you, then you can learn more and apply at growmycoaching.com/C2C program. Or you can DM me on socials and we can have a chat or set up a time to chat. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thank you for listening to this episode, and we will see you on the next one.